If you make music for a while, you probably know this feeling. Starting dozens of projects, finishing only a few, and thinking most of them just weren't good enough. I know that feeling very well. In the past few years, I made a full U-turn in my music. I spent a long time producing techno, but over time, my influences changed, and with that, my direction changed too. Right now, I'm on a mission to redefine my sound, to work without a fixed genre, to use a blank canvas and fill it with colors. I don't want to fit in a genre box anymore. But that also means asking new questions. How can I optimize the ideas that I already have? And how can I get the most out of what's already there? Old ideas are often a raw form of expression, more honest than many new ones, and some ideas were emotional on a deep level, but technically unpolished. Back then, my workflow was completely different. I didn't have access to certain tools yet, like my modular system, mixing tools, synths, and my workflow, toolset and experience have all evolved. Today, I approach ideas in a more structured way, because I have more knowledge about things. But somehow, through this, I've lost naivety, and this can create more happy accidents and push creativity. Alright, let's dive a little deeper, because I started questioning myself how an idea can actually be reused, what can be replaced and what needs to be preserved simply because it was good as it is. Maybe it was a sound, a pattern or a progression. I think it's all about reducing things to the essence and the core to understand what's the part that it's still worth reusing. When I look back at older tracks like Elysian Fields, I hear the core of the idea, a prominent bass line with attention, distortion and emotions. I still connect with this idea today a lot, but the way I approach the idea has now evolved. It's not about repeating the past, it's about refining it. Take the bass line for example, back then it might have been a single layer. Today I would build it up with more intention, multiple layers, more depth, more distortion and more movement. In the remix I did for Felix, you can hear how the same underlying idea is expressed with a new level of clarity. Technically, the sound design is tighter, the modulation more deliberate, and the structure more dynamic. Aesthetically, there's more space, more identity, less guesswork and more precision. I think it's the same idea but built with different hands. Is this real love? Oh, baby. Or sometimes it's not the idea that was lacking, just the tools to bring it to life. A melody, a pattern or a bit of sound design that once felt flat or underdeveloped suddenly comes to life when you revisit it with better synthesizers, new effects or a more refined ear for mixing. For example, take this very basic sound, a riser. Here's a standard off-the-shelf riser, functional but generic. Now let's build one from scratch with a small customized to my sound. I'm using the mimeophone from Make Noise to create a feedback sweep with a vocal stamp from a track of mine.
Turn up all night, yes.
And here's the track in action. Of course, it's always about what you do with the sound, but sometimes different tools can lead to different results, almost naturally. A new synth, a different workflow, and suddenly the same idea hits harder, moves differently, feels better. For example, a kind of emotional bass, here made in Serum, and with the TO5, so it's the same idea but with different results. Sometimes ideas don't need more detail, just a different home. You're working on something new and suddenly a sound, a mood, a feeling brings back to something old and unfinished. Back then, it didn't quite fit, but now, within a new context, it makes perfect sense. For example, I recorded vocals for a track Something About You, released the track, but I knew I wasn't done yet.
We were falling tonight, all over, just like the rain, just like the rain. We were falling tonight.
There were phrases, stems I hadn't used. Later, while working on a track called Next to You, those same vocals came back to life. Same voice, new chops and a new meaning.
I can't refuse it. Next to you.
That's what I think is the feedback loop. Old ideas returning with purpose, because the moment finally found them. This results almost organically that old sounds can be the origin of your signature sounds. Today and with distance you realize this was already partially my sound. In the track Something About You, I used percussion sounds which I have been using in different variations ever since then. And here I've reused them in my track For Sure featuring Benny AP.
Yeah, of course, on my P's and Q's if you didn't know. Got no time for no X and O's. Sweet talk, man, I heard it all. Call it whatever it is.
And this ongoing process deepens your understanding and sharpens your vision of your own personal sound palette. Thanks for watching, guys. I think that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to drop any comments and thoughts down below in the comment section and I will get back to you. So thanks again, and until next time.
So much so when the chips was down and I caught some love. Oh, you didn't know, got tunes that'll turn up the space for sure. Selection, mix up the dancing floor. Yeah, burn up the space for sure. Got energy that will come up and rev up the dancing floor.